Assalamualaikum, my name is Farhan and today my group and I will present about assignment 2 for company practices on relations to recruitment and selection. So for today's presentation, we will present about Apple Incorporated. So this is the list of my teammates. Next, introduction. Okay, recruitment and selection is the process of locating and obtaining qualified job applicants in sufficient numbers and quality so that employers can choose the best candidates for open positions. Okay, recruitment and selection is the most important things in an organization. Okay, next I will present about the company background. Apple Incorporated, or also formerly known as Apple Computer Incorporated, is a technology corporate based in Cupertino, California, as the first successful personal computer company. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak founded Apple in 1976 in California's Santa Clara Valley. Okay, in the mid of 1980s, Jobs was forced out of the company as it is grew after Macintosh great success. Okay, but when Apple was on the edge of bankruptcy, Jobs returned to the firm, which made the company big again up until now. For the most popular gadgets on today is the iPod music player and iPhone, followed by the subsequently the iPad tablet. Apple's iOS has been downloaded over 2 billion times. This shows that Apple is one of the most successful company which is related with the technology. About the staffing organization challenges. Okay, in Apple company, they have 3 types of staffing organization challenges. The first one is modern slavery, second one is gender gap, and the third one will be child labor. Okay, the modern slavery, Apple has the policies that demonstrate the company's commitment to social responsibilities. But Apple also had conflict outcomes in 2010 when it claimed to be the concern about labor and human rights. Okay, for the gender gap, on 2014, Apple's diversity report said 70% of the company's employees are men, which with the number rising to 72% for leadership roles and 80% for technical specialist occupations. That is only for the male employee. Okay, Apple CEO Tim Cook, on the other hand, stated that inclusive and diversity are among the company's top goals. Okay, and then the third one is child labor. Okay, in supplier responsibility report from 2012, Apple stated that they were involved in more than 100 incidents of child labor. In China, one of the Apple's suppliers used 74 youngsters under the age of 16, and another 10 organizations were implicated in the same issue, according to the company.
Next, we proceed to recruitment and selection practice for staffing model, framework, and theory. Apple has spent a significant amount of money to keep the recruitment and selection process running smoothly. It has been perfectly linked with the company business plan. Apple has set a high value on its employee, since it understands that they are the company's most important asset. This company human resource department look for candidates with the best computing abilities and knowledge. This is because employees who help in the use of other resource to ensure that outstanding performance is achieved, and as a result of the employee's effort, maximum profitability is realized. The process must begin with the proper recruitment and selection, allowing competent and appropriate people to be hired. Secondly, Apple improved the quality of workforce. The company used both internal and external recruitment and selection process. Job applicant or the shortlisted candidate are exposed to a series of tests in the form of questions with the purpose of acquiring sufficient information about the candidates, such as think about their abilities that cannot be discovered from applicant or other documentation such as confidence. Third is a work sample, another approach employed by company Apple, which is assign some little task relate to the actual job through the selection process. Because the work sample is taken as a representative of the actual job. This is a very effective selection process because it provides a clear picture of the candidate, allowing more information and appropriate selection judgment. Next is assessment center. Assessment center method used in the selection process, on the other hand, to ensure the highest level of impartiality and fairness possible. They are based on the idea that no single method of selection is totally effective. Hence, there are common several ways to limit the danger of error caused by relying on a single method. This process is extremely efficient and effective despite its high cost and time consuming. Lastly is psychometry. Psychometry can be used in recruitment and selection process as well. This involves employing a psychometric instrument to assess the candidate mental ability. This method seek to collect extensive data that will aid in individual knowledge, allowing for the forecast of their behavior and improving educated recruitment and selection decision. It boosts staff retention by improving selection accuracy and so enhance the organization performance. Apple have 5 human resource planning. Firstly is objective of human resource planning. The company principal goal is to attract and retain its staff. To do so, the organization has used a variety of strategic human resource techniques to attract qualified employees. Apple want to make the most of its employees' effort by investing in their training. Secondly, is a human resource demand and supply forecast. The practice of estimating the amount and quality of people required to meet the organization's future need is known as demand forecasting. The supply forecast determines how many people are anticipated to be available from within and outside an organization. Third is a human resource programming. After anticipating an organization personnel demand and supply, the two must be reconciled or balanced so that vacancy may be filled by the right people at the right time. Fourth is a human resource implementation. Converting an human resource plan into action is what implementation entails. It consists of a number of action plans including recruitment, selection, and placement. Lastly is a control and evaluation program. Budget, target, and standard should all be included in the HR plan. It should also define who is responsible for implementation and control, as well as reporting mechanism that allow progress to be tracked against the plan. Next is a job analysis. The goal of job analysis is to describe each of Apple incorporate position and to define what each position required. A job analysis is a method of analyzing a true examination of Apple rules. This type of analysis allows the company to determine what activity and responsibility each position at the company entitles. Their relative importance and comparison to other jobs, the individual capability required for job performance and condition under which the employee complete the task. The analysis compile and make decisions from expert meeting, mental examination, perception, and survey with open-ended question. While Apple job analysis is already gathering data, they could go even further and collect data on the project as this will be required in the future. The second point in job analysis is a skill gap analysis. A skill gap analysis is a method used by Apple to evaluate performance discrepancy between its data framework and programming apps in order to identify if the company needs are being met. If it is determined that the company requirements are not being fulfilled, a strategy is devised to determine what steps must be taken to ensure that they are met successfully. The result of a skill gap analysis might be used on regular basis by project manager or a procedure improvement group, it is important for Apple incorporate to examine its employee performance because it allows them to identify issue early.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurhaliana binti Abdul Hamid, and today I would like to present my part, which is recruitment and selection for Apple company. Internal versus external candidates is a difficult decision that should not be treated lightly. Internal candidate describe a situation during which management considers advertising a position internally out whether there is any potential internal staff to fill the existing vacancies. For Apple, internal recruitment process is in which management considers publishing a position internally to see whether there is any possibility in current employees to suit the open vacancies. What if your current staff lack of skills and abilities required of this role? That is definitely the most significant advantage of recruiting external candidates. The Apple hiring process for external candidates consists of several steps, including the potential employee and interview process that you must go through in order to be hired by the company. Okay, let's see for internal candidates. The recruitment and selection for these internal candidates is split into 4 subcategories, which is job posting, nominations, knowledge, skills and abilities database, and also closing. Secondly is nomination. Some companies have more close approach to internal recruitment and may ask managers to nominate high-performing individuals as candidates for internal roles. It is include Apple company too. However, this approach may appear or in fact involve favoritism or unlawful discrimination. Thirdly, knowledge, skills, and abilities database. Hires can create a KSA profile that details their background, experience, and career goals. Lastly is closing. Apple can use succession planning strategies not only to identify a potential talent in the organization but also to establish developmental plans to help prepare individuals for promotional roles. Now, move on to the external candidates. If Apple is impressed with the applications that you have sent, each candidate have to go through 3 or 4 rounds of interview. The first stages is the group interviews. During this interview process, Apple employees will ask each candidate a number of research questions. During this screening, the candidates will also participate in many role-play situations in which they might play for both Apple employee and the buyer. Second is telephone interview. The second interview will be reviewed within 2 to 6 days or a week. The company advises candidates to reflect over completed experience on which they have worked as well as their educational and professional achievement. Third is assessment test. Every answer of the candidate, such as whether or not the candidate reacts to a question or scenario, might well be analyzed. It's also likely that they were encouraged not to wear something professional such as for a shirt and tie, so they might be judged based on their appearance. Lastly, the candidate will be invited to a final one-on-one interview with the head of the manager. It is a proficiency interview and it is being conducted to determine how skilled, passionate and excited you are to join at Apple. Okay, for the next slide is decision making. Apple has increased its spending on the recruitment process with the major intent of discovering the perfect employees who complement the organizational culture. Apple employs a unique recruitment method in comparing to other companies. Apple does not make explicit employee development promises to its employees. Employees are expected to take charge of their careers. Apple also relies on purchasing outstanding workers from other companies. Only employees who fit the work environment are hired based on the current design of the recruitment process. And for the last slide is final match. Apple is a place where you can develop your skills and build a successful career. The company is very considerate when offering employment to candidates, determine which candidate best meets the pre-established specifications of the position based on information obtained during the recruiting and selection process, including resume, interviews, test results, applicant ratings, reference checks, and the recommendation of the selection team. Thank you, that's all from me.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Aini binti Jamaluddin. My matric number is 20155609111. I will explain regarding my point for staffing flow. Manpower planning. This is the first step in the process of staffing. It is concerned with determining the number and types of staff required for the organization. In the hiring process, this is the first stage. It focuses on calculating the number and sort of personnel that the company will need. Workforce planning is a technique that business owners may use to plan their company's personnel numbers properly and efficiently. The correct number of personnel for a firm, as well as the suitable skills to fulfill corporate goals, are calculated through planning. Number 2, employment of personnel. It involves recruitment and selection of personnel as needed in the organization. Recruitment refers to identification of the source of manpower availability and making of effort to secure applicants for the various job positions in the organization. Selection is the process of choosing and appointing the right candidate for various jobs in the organization. It includes receiving and screening of application, employment test, interview, and medical examination on candidates. Third is placement. When a new employee reports for duty, he is to be placed on the job for which he is best suited. Placement is a very important process as it can ensure right person doing the right job. If a new employee is not able to adjust on his job, he may given some training or transfer to some other job. Fourth is induction. Induction is concerned with the process of introducing or orienting a new employee to the organization. The new employees are familiarized with the units, supervisor, and fellow employees. They also to be informed about the working hours, tea or coffee break, lunch period, procedure for availing leave, safety precautions, medical facilities, transport facilities. 5. Training. Systematic training help in increasing the skill and knowledge of employees in doing their job. Various methods of training can be used to enhance the knowledge and skill of the employee. On-the-job methods are more useful for the operative employee, and off-the-job methods can also be employed for the supervisory personnel. 6. Compensation. Remuneration of workers involves fixation of their wages and salaries depending upon their level, nature of work, degree of risk involved. 7. Performance appraisal. It's concerned with the rating of evaluation of the performance of the employees. Transfer and promotion of the staff are based on performance appraisal. Staffing method involve of 3 methods, which is first, internal recruitment. Promotion and transfer are two most common types of internal recruitment. The most typical type of recruiting is a promotion, which allows a person to enhance their skills while the organization keeps talent. Internal transfer can allow employees to enhance their skill set in a more literal fashion without taking on extra responsibilities. Internal recruiting can be accomplished by promotions or transfer. For example, existing workers may be allowed to transition from temporary or part-time job to permanent or full-time ones. Number 2, external recruitment. External recruitment is external recruiting strategies. Like internal recruitment, have advantages and downside. The group of candidate is real, which is the one of benefit of this foreign recruiting approach. This necessitates the selection and acquisition of people by business. Internal and external recruiting technique can have benefits and drawbacks. One of the advantages of using a foreign recruitment firm is that pool of applicants is authentic. Business must choose and acquire individuals because of this. This brings a sense of balance of the workplace. As a result, it is possible to avoid mutual recruiting, which means that someone in power has no possibility of obtaining workers who are linked to it. As a result, there is no favoritism in the workplace. The drawback of this approach of external recruiting is that it is more cost-driven. When labor is sourced from other sources, costs will rise. Last but not least, job posting and job bidding. Job bidding is an internal recruitment method that allows people already employed by the company to apply for a vacant position so long as they have the requisite knowledge, skill, and abilities. Job bidding is an internal recruitment approach that allows current employees to apply for empty position if they possess the necessary knowledge, skill, and competencies. As example, Kevin begins his job search with a job posting, which is the formal procedure used by a corporation to notify internal personnel about a vacant position. The job title, responsibilities, qualification, and application procedure are usually included in the job advertisement.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Nur Syafiqah binti Ahmad Jaiz. I will share about a suggestion on how to improve on recruitment and selection practices. Okay, now we move to my first opinion is focusing on management and administration for Apple company. Okay, for my first point of management and administration is to keep on improving onboarding program. The employment process does not end with a selection. However, the employer reputation is built on a readiness to assist new worker in adjusting to a new work environment and becoming accustomed to daily responsibilities. Onboarding is the term for this stage of the procedures. The most crucial thing for any employer to realize about onboarding is that it cannot be rushed. On the contrary, it should be done on a regular basis in order to avoid wasting further time and money. Next is use a new approach to talent acquisition. On candidate-focused job sites, candidate-focused job listing appear fantastic. If prominent job boards have not been able to assist by uncover the suitable people, look deeper into the talent pool. Such as LinkedIn along with Facebook job ads is one of the best places to find job seeker who match employee requirement. Great chance can also be found at networking event, but employee referral are an even better offline method to talent requirement. Employees are well versed in the company objective, culture, team dynamic, and day-to-day operation. Existing employees are more able to require new talent than anyone else. They will think twice about referring someone for the position because they will be asked for vouch for them. Thus, candidate feedback should be collected and analyzed. Another technique that helps recruiters save time and money is candidate rediscovery. It's also one of at least 2 reasons to keep in touch with candidates that didn't fire. The main reason is to get a superior candidate who has just been offered a job at the organization is unlikely to rate their hiring process on the record. On the other side, the candidate have turned down are likely to have a lot to say about the employer brand. Take use of the chances to gather and analyze candidate comment. This will give the significant insight into how applicants view the hiring process and will reveal that needs to be changed and why. This process can be also speed up with the use of automation tools. Lastly, make the interview process more efficient. HR personnel and recruiter have everything they need to find an interview applicant. Employees should be aware of legal requirements and ethical interview norms, as well as the best procedures for evaluating qualification. Create a consistent candidate evaluation template that can be customized for each position that they are hiring for. Before start for a looking a job, talk to hiring manager to figure out what the roles and responsibility are and what they are looking for in this candidate. Then come up with the question that elicit the attribute they mentioned. This, along with interview training, can improve their time to hire, minimize lost employee productivity as a result of a prolonged interview process, and make it easier to identify the best candidate for the job. For my second point, it assesses staffing, that applying a skill test while interview session. A job interview is a sort of employment assessment that entails a conversation between the job applicant and a company representative. Interviews are one of the most common methods for selecting employees. Interview question might be pre-structured or fully unstructured, occurring spontaneously or from a predetermined list. Structured interviews are more reliable than unstructured interviews in that they are more accurate and facilitate the identification of the best applicant. Recruiters are tasked with evaluating candidates who have passed the interview and are ready to take the test, depending on the work, the job, and the firm. Various types of tests might be conducted. The exam are used measure candidate ability, aptitude, and personality. The next is job interview is one of the process in the hiring process. For the first step for hiring process is job interview. This part of the procedure consists of a formal and lengthy conversation to determine the candidate acceptability. One-to-one job interview is one in which there are only two people present, the interviewer and the interviewee. The term sequential refers to sequence of interview. In this situation, each interviewer's strength and knowledge based on employed to assess the candidate on an individual and timely basis. A panel interview is one in which two or more interviewers are present. Any panel interview is less personal and formal than a one-to-one interview, and it must be well managed and prepared in order to deliver the information. Lastly, start recruiting for attitude and training for skill by stressing work ethic, flexibility, and teamwork over knowledge and technical abilities. When you hire for attitude, you can tap into a larger pool of candidates. In the long run, candidates who pass the attitude test will make a better employees. They have a mindset to learn, gain new talent, and contribute to the company growth. Furthermore, in today's world, critical skills change rapidly, and the tool of employee will use in 3 years will be different from those they use now. That's all from me. Thank you.
As for the conclusion, recruitment and selection are the challenging procedure that should be handled with care and accuracy, utilizing suitable methods and approaching to guarantee that the recruited personnel are qualified and experienced. The technique should always take into consideration the company's goal and any divergence or loss of focus. The recruitment and selecting procedures and processes should also guarantee that the appropriate individuals is hired at the effectiveness and economy, resulting in increasing the productivity and profitability over time. As for the result, in the future, techniques of recruiting and selection will be improved in order to achieve a greater result for company. Thank you.